I think we're live. I think. Pulling up. Gotta double check it here. Make sure that we are live. We are live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Think Different Theory, Season 2. My name is Josh Forty. Hopefully, everyone is having a phenomenal day here today. I'll tell you what, I don't know what my problem was this morning. It is so cold here, and it's actually not even that cold outside. It's like, I think it's like 20 degrees, so nothing crazy. It was like negative 16 here a couple weeks ago, so it's nothing like it was. But I was so freaking cold this morning. I had the temperature set to 76 degrees inside my apartment, which is normally like 70. So, you know, it was super, super cold. Anyway, I think it's probably going to get way hotter in here because we have a super fire guest. Wow, that was super cheesy, but I like it. We have a super, super fire guest here today, guys. I'm super pumped up. As you guys know, I Think Different Theory, one of the things that I'm really, really focused on is trying to bring on the highest quality guests, trying to bring on people that are actually just like epic and awesome. And I mean, we're shooting constantly to bring on bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger people and people that not even just big in size, but like that are really big into their field and really understand what they do well, so that I can go through and try to pull questions out of them that most people don't normally get, because some people, let's just be real, a lot of people suck at interviewing people. Like they're not that good. And one of the things that I think I have a specialty at is interviewing people, which is awesome. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our next guest. Our next guest is a guy, guys, I don't know how this guy has done everything that he's done by the age of 30. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, dude, you're 30? What the heck? He's an entrepreneur. He runs almost $50 million a year company, at least last year. I'm sure it's going to be over that this year. He was named by President Donald Trump himself as one of the best made in America steel companies in America, #1 in Alabama. His name is Colin Wayne. And Colin, welcome back to Think Different Theory.
This guy has done everything that he's done by the age of 30.
All right, cool.
What's up, man?
You, man? I just shared it to a couple of my pages, so hopefully we get some traction in here.
I love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. How you been, dude?
Good, dude. Just saw you for the first time. We finally met. I know the first time we did our episode together, I had met you, but we had connected before in the past, and now met you at Funnel Hacking, FHL.
Yeah, Funnel Hacking Live. That was super awesome, bro.
Yeah, just walk right past you. I'm like, oh, that's Josh. Go say hey to him.
Dude, you look so fly at Funnel Hacking Live. Like, I wasn't expecting you to be in like a suit and everything, or I guess you're a blazer, not like a full suit, but like you were looking super, super good. I was like, dude, you're a steel company, dude. I didn't expect you to look so good.
Well, former model, man, got to.
Yeah, that's right. How many covers of magazines have you been on?
So 50 plus.
It's insane, dude. That's insane. Okay, so I want to go back to Funnel Hacking Live though, because you were at on stage. $25 million award. What did you do? How much revenue did you do last year?
Well, as a business, so last year we actually took a decrease than what we did the year before. We haven't even hit, so we're 4 years old as a business, but our e-com we won't hit 4 years old until June 15th. So we've done over 40 million as a business, but last year we ended up closing out a little under 13. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of growth pains along the way.
Yeah.
And, but it's been a lot of fun in the process.
What are some of the things that in business you didn't expect? Like as you were scaling?
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge that we have is usually when you need something because it's very, from a marketer's perspective, that's one challenge. But when you're having to face everything from the manufacturing and the fulfillment, the distribution, the customer support, like juggling everything internally, it's very, very challenging because there's always going to be a bottleneck in one of those. And so there's a constant juggling act. So some of our biggest challenges has been from a manufacturing capacity perspective. It was easier for us to get orders in the door, but the output was very challenging.
Yeah.
We needed to buy equipment. It was like it could take 6 months to one piece of equipment took 13 months to build, and it's not
what they're not heck, even bro.
So like our lasers come from other countries. Our massive screw compressor that's actually powering a nitrogen generator, and it takes high pressure and low pressure and converts it into nitrogen that powers that's from another country. And so you're buying all this stuff because nothing's like, it's challenging to find things that are like that large of scale in America. And so that's been our biggest challenge is even if you have the capital to go and buy it, you still have to wait. And so now you're facing time as the biggest constraint, if that makes sense.
That's crazy too. And like, I'm from the digital product world, right? So like physical real life products and stuff like that, like that's such a foreign concept to me. But like you're dealing with, what does it look like as far as like products that don't ever get shipped out because you're messed up, they get messed up? Do you face a lot of that?
No, not at all. When people receive our products, the response is, very high quality. We put a lot of effort into our QC before it goes out the door. So it's very, very minimal from a quality perspective. The biggest issue and hurdle was that up until probably about 9-10 months ago, our average lead time was around 4 weeks.
Ooh.
Now we're shipping custom orders within and I say custom, like monograms, within 2 to 5 business days.
Wow.
We're shipping stock items within 1 to 3 days, and sometimes like same day shipping. So very, very fast. So we've been able to beat that bottleneck. And because now we finally have the equipment, we have the capacity. I'm in over 110,000 square feet now. And so we've been able to battle the time constraints. And also, the learning experiences of saying, if this goes down, how does that impact my business? And because of those downtimes, I've been able to have other redundancies in place to say, if this happens, this is what we do next, and then this is what's next.
How do you figure that out though? Like
after it happens, usually reactive to a situation.
Interesting.
And it's not a simple fix. That's the thing when you're talking at scale. So we've shipped. So for perspective, 3.5 years old as an e-commerce business, 4 years old as a total company.
Right.
And we've shipped over 4 million products.
Wow.
So that's a lot of touch points and a lot of exponential growth to have everything internal. So a lot of it has just been learning experiences from issues that we've dealt with. And now it's a little bit different. I hired my first recruiting firm, and they brought on some high-level executive staff for me, and that's been a game changer for us.
What's that?
The experience, that they bring to the table.
So, like, are you the sole owner?
Yes.
So, like, how do you decide? Like, do you have final say, or when you bring execs in, do you give them certain powers to like say, okay, this is where we're gonna go? Like, do you step back at all?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. So so coming from the military, I was enlisted. I was a prior military police officer, was a staff sergeant, and I didn't like if a junior lieutenant would come in and try to tell, like, you're supposed to give an action plan, and then as a non-commissioned officer, I go and execute it. And as long as I get the mission done, that's all that should matter at the end of the day.
Right.
I'm going to have a way of doing things. You're going to have a way of doing things. And as long as we objectively hit that KPI, then that's all that should matter. And so for me, having a clear cadence and accountability structure as kind of levels that I play at from a macro perspective, and then we have 4 levels of leadership that funnel down where I'm not involved with anything from the manufacturing, the fulfillment, the distribution. I'm playing more of the role of like the visionary officer and marketing back end.
Yeah.
So I'm running all of the ads, all the email marketing, the SMS. I'm doing that personally. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I enjoy that side.
Well, and that's good. I look at I'm always curious how people structure their businesses. I look at ClickFunnels, right? And like, you just got an award there, which congratulations, bro. That was awesome. But like, I look at like Russell, and he's teasing us a lot. I don't know if you've watched some of his videos. He keeps teasing us that he's going to step down. But like, he's the CEO right now, but that's not his specialty. You know what I mean? And I'm always curious of like, I would freak out if I had built this baby of a business. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be $1 billion company soon. You know what I mean? And like, not having control over the direction of where that would go, that freaked me out.
Yeah, but I think there's differences, right? So like, look at big companies like Gymshark in the UK. That's absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
6 years old as a business and $320 million in 1 year annually. Like, it's just incredible what they're doing.
It's insane.
The founder, he's younger than me. And he, even though he owns the company, well, they went public, but he felt like, he hired a CEO, he hired all the executives and just followed his passion, and now they can elevate and go further. So, and I haven't publicly talked about it. I've kind of mentioned it to very close friends, but I'll probably will do the same thing within the next 2-3 years, where I'll step down as a CEO because I can bring somebody in that has that type of board experience. I'm not passion driven to go and sit in boardrooms and look at all these financial audits and do all of this other stuff. I would rather be more, I want to be very involved, but I don't want to be involved with things that I'm not passionate about or I don't bring enough experience to. And so I know my down plays and I want what's best for the business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would you ever sell?
Oh, yeah. That's the intent. But the intent is, and I got a lot of people from Redline watching right now. So shout out to everybody from Redline. I see a lot of people commenting, from Ohio, Pennsylvania. So to answer your question, not in the near future, but the intent is to eventually exit for over $1 billion, take that seed money, and then plant a VC incubator, and to hire some of the best talent in the world and start acquiring or launching businesses that can help align within certain verticals. So software companies that can also cross populate anything else that aligns within what I want to get involved with. So
that's cool. I feel like the mindset that you have to have, like you have to be super intentional because you're only, you said almost 4 years old in the business, right? And you're only 30. So you started at basically my age. I just turned 26 on Saturday. So like, I mean, the mindset that you would have had to go in with this and the mindset that you've got to figure out, okay, I want to be $1 billion company or whatnot. Like, how do you, let me ask you a more personal question on this. Like, how do you keep yourself in check, dude? Like, I mean, come on. I feel like, dude, you've accomplished some stuff in your life. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it would be way easy for a lot of people to get a super big ego and make it all about them. And I feel, and I don't know you super well, but I mean, I know you and we've talked and I've met you in real life and we've interviewed you before. Like, you're a really down to earth person. And like, yeah, you drive, you got a Lambo? You shovel your Lambo?
I used to, yeah.
Okay.
So
You got rid of,
I only have a couple down. So
only a couple.
I'm not talking. I don't really publicly talk too much about it either.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, you've got the nice cars, but you don't, and the nice house, and you've got, but like, you're a down to earth person. How do you keep yourself in check?
So I think having that vision mentality of forecasting where I want to be and having such accountability. So like last year, the goal was to be in over 1 million homes by the end of the year. I'm so far in the macro that I forget about the micro. And if I don't hit it, I'm upset. And I look at it as like from a football perspective with Alabama football. Like, look at Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Saban,
who I hate.
If I miss a field goal, and even if we're up by 100 points, it doesn't matter. We lost. Like that's, and so I think having that type of mentality that, even though last year was down as far as revenue goes from the year over year growth, we hit some, I was upset at myself, but when you look at it holistically as an entirety, we're doing incredible, but I'm always pushing the boundaries for myself and my team. So having very, very strict accountability within myself.
How do you deal though with, because like one of the things I feel like when you hold yourself too strict, and this is me being genuine, like I don't know the answer to this at all, but like you hold yourself to these big expectations and goals. Okay, I want to be in 1 million homes next year. What happens if you don't hit it?
I'm upset, to be honest. Like I'm mentally like frustrated that we weren't able to accomplish it. But it's also on the flip side, like we weren't at a place, the foundation wasn't built to where we could have gotten even further on a manufacturing constraints, where now I feel like the universe just said, all right, Colin, we're going to give you what you can handle. That's exactly what happened. And now we're shipping stuff, customers, and there's a ton of my employees right now are customers talking. I love my purchases and all that stuff. But, now we're able to have an incredible customer experience. They're ordering something and receiving it within, just a few days of ordering it. And, now we're able to have that type of foundation where we can diversify into larger, whether it's larger retailers working. We're about to launch custom products on Amazon, and we'll be the first ever Prime custom monogram manufacturer there.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, looking at the diversification of our brand and to elevate everything else. So,
how did you figure out, like, because like you have I feel like you're not the only people in the world that do what you do, right? Like, I mean, like there's a lot of people that do customized steel design and manufacturing. Like, how did you figure out your market? And I want to kind of loop this back to like the ClickFunnels world of, I listen to Russell a lot. Russell's my Dream 100 for sure, right? And like someone that I respect, I've learned a ton from. But he talks about like, okay, you got to know your market, you got to know your who, you got to figure out how you're going to serve them and be different, right? Like, what makes you different than everybody else that's out there? Like, couldn't I just go to anybody and be like, hey, I want some whatever made, and they could make it too? Like, how are you different than that?
So I think there's a couple elements to it. Initially, I got into the business, and there were thousands of competitors, and there still are. But the thing was there was nothing on the paid side. And so as a marketer, I was looking at the SEO, the amount of traffic that's being clicked through, like what's the market opportunity. And I noticed that from like a CPC side that there was unsaturated, like I could get it super, super low. So that told me was, one, there's a big market opportunity. Two, the barrier to entry is there for mass opportunity.
Interesting.
And CPMs would be extremely low because nobody's on the paid side. So that was 4 years ago. Now, to answer your question now, we don't have IP. Right, that's going to restrict somebody else or large player to come in, and Amazon to open up a 1 million square foot facility and compete against what we're doing.
Right.
Not yet. We are working on a patent on something that will offset us from everybody. And we haven't talked about that. But this is, I think, what
and got
some of my VIP members to comment in on this live stream. I think what offsets me, man, is like I humanize and I'm the forefront of it. And I'm so deeply rooted and involved within the overall customer experience and the journey that offsets us from anybody else, is that we will go the extra mile. We have a VIP group of some amazing people. We got like almost 40,000 people there. We're about to launch an even more exclusive group called the Redline Elite, which is right here. It's going to be reversed, but yeah, Redline Elite. And yeah, I mean, it's been able to really connect on a personal level, unlike any other brand. So that's what really offsets us. And then in addition to that, like, let's say one of my competitors, they're starting to come up, they're going to have the same issues and challenges that we do. And that's fighting time. And by the time they can wait a year to get more equipment in, imagine where we're going to be a year from now. So the diversification, we start with steel, but now we're launching, we're about to launch like leather bracelets made with copper and steel.
Oh, nice.
Same type of equipment that's already in place, and cross-utilizing it to give our product base even more diversification. Launching into canvas, launching into wood. We just made our first, we just printed our first shirt yesterday. So we got,
I saw that post. Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So it's not just thinking about, new products within steel and that's it. It's constantly the evolution that I want to be at the forefront of anything within the home decor market. And then also the pride in having it made in the USA.
Yeah, and I think that's big too. And dude, okay, let's go there. I want to talk about that real quick. I do have some questions to come back to this, but I want to talk about this. Dude, how is meeting Trump?
It was incredible, man. But I mean, so it was an incredible experience to walk around, go to the White House, personally get invited. And it wasn't like we filled out an application. It was them that reached out to us. And so not a lot of people know the entire process behind it. Sean, weren't you the one that got the email? Yeah. So Sean, who's right here, come over here. So
Sean, come and say hi.
He actually received an email from the White House, and it took 3 days for it to hit my desk because they didn't know if it was legit.
Yeah, I remember you telling that. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir.
So you're the one that thought it was fraud?
No,
we did at first. We kind of thought like, not every day do you get an email from the White House. We didn't know what to do at first.
So walk me through the process, Colin, of what walk us through what happened.
So when I finally got to my attention that it was a legit, like this was, my customer service team, they vetted that this was legit, and then it finally got to me. It wasn't like I had, I think 3 weeks notice to get everything in preparation for it. And they select one company per state, and Trump, he's the one that declared this as a week-long holiday.
Yeah.
So it's to I guess he wants to bring attention to companies that are manufacturing and building products within the United States and within the nation. So it's called Made in America Week. And so he founded it 3 years ago. And so this was his third year annually to do it. And we got to meet him. I got a selfie with him.
I saw that, dude.
And to top it off, he posted it.
Yeah, I know, dude. That was like the epitome of America right there. When he posted that and shot, I was like, dude, to be Colin right now, that must have been insane.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, man. But I'll say this because I think this is important. I think he's done an incredible job for our economy, and I love how real he is, and he doesn't back down. I see a lot of commonalities between his overall approach to not being bullied and to step up for what you believe in. I think that's very important. But it's an honor to I would have went if Hillary was in office. I still would have went.
Yeah, for sure.
If Bernie was in office, I still would have went. If Obama was there, I would have went because, one, as a commander in chief, being a veteran, that's a huge honor in itself.
Yeah.
To be personally invited to go to the White House. So, we got a lot of like backlash of, oh, you support that. We're not going to support your company, whatever.
Right.
But, it's just because we went like as an entirety, like it's an incredible experience and honor as a 3-year-old business at that time.
Yeah.
Be able to be hand selected by the biggest organization in the world.
Yeah.
And so, it was a really cool accomplishment. And on top of that, he actually, he bought a flag from us, and we have an invoice from him. And I've got a letter up there. Hey, Austin, are you there? No. Hold on. I'll show you what it looks like. It's crazy.
That's insane.
He put, thanks for the flag. I love it. And then signed it. So it's really cool. So I got it hanging up on my wall.
Did you bill him? Or did you give it to him?
He bought it. Well, we left it when it was there because he wanted it. And then we invoiced him because he said he couldn't just take gifts. He said, if I receive a gift, it belongs to the White House. And when I leave, I can't take it with me.
Interesting.
So that means a lot more than just taking it as a gift because he wanted it for himself.
That's incredible. That's super. Dang, that is so cool, dude. That's awesome. Well done. Congratulations. Did you, from a business standpoint, did it affect sales at all?
Oh, yeah. So there was a big ripple effect of so when I was there, the very last day, I had basically like a 16-hour notice if I wanted to go on Fox News.
Yeah.
And so I had to take a train. I'd never done a train before.
Interesting.
And I went to Manhattan and was on Fox and Friends, and we saw a massive spike due to that entire thing. So it was really cool.
That's super, super cool. Was Trump exactly like you thought he'd be when you met him?
Yeah, even more. But what was interesting, because he did his entire press conference at the end, there was no reporter that was asking anything about the actual event. It was all, your latest tweet was this, your latest whatever, it was all gossip type stuff.
Yeah.
None of it was around the event, and he called them out on it. Like, look, you have 50 incredible companies that are here, and that's what y'all want to talk about. Like, this is what's wrong with the nation. He was very blunt, very straightforward, but he had a lot of valid points. And so Business Insider wanted to do, and they did an interview with me while I was there, and I asked him about it. I was like, it's a little disrespectful for all of the press to not ask anything related to the event that's actually being hosted. And what got brought up was actually kind of interesting. Most presidents will host at least weekly, biweekly, or even every other day internal press conference. for the White House to disseminate information that's actually going on. What they told me was Trump had went 90 plus consecutive days without holding an internal press conference. And she said that the only way that they can get any type of information is by any type of event like this.
Interesting.
So I could see it from both sides where it's like,
interesting.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense, which, if I was in everything that he says, it gets distorted and manipulated and twisted. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want to have, I probably would be in a very similar situation if I was them.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that is frustrating about, and regardless of politics, right? Like, it could be Trump, it could be anyone. It just I feel like it happens more with Trump because of Trump brings it to himself, I think, a little bit. But like, I don't know what to trust in the media, dude.
I think everybody, but I think it's opened the eyes to the left, as well as like it's opened so many eyes that wouldn't have had that because they're reaching for anything.
Yeah,
it's being more and more transparent now.
But like, how do you? There's so much. Like, dude, I have turned on, like, you'll see the memes going around on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever of like literal Fox on one TV and CNN on the other TV, same building, same exact time, and it's like two polar opposite headlines that completely contradict each other, right? And it's like, how do you determine what's true? You know what I mean? And so like, okay, I'm actually curious your thoughts on this. I'm sure you saw, Trump's been acquitted and all that jazz or whatever, but Mitt Romney voted to convict him in one of them. Did you see that he voted for? So do you know who, Mitt Romney ran for president? He was the only Republican senator that voted to convict Trump on one of the articles of impeachment. The obstruction of Congress, he did not. He said acquit it, but for abuse of power, he voted for it. And I was like, the heck? Like, come on, Romney, right? I even made a post about it in my post. It was like hashtag also seriously Mitt Romney. But like me, I try to be someone that sees both sides of the issue. And so I literally went and I watched Mitt Romney's speech, or it's not speech, but his interview on Fox, and how he went and how he came to the conclusion of everything. Now I'm about as big of a Trump supporter as they get, right? I'm pretty vocal in my support of him. But like, I understood his side of things, right? And like, when I actually got to see him talk about like why he came to the conclusion, while I don't agree with him, right? Like, I actually understand. He's Mormon. He's he's very, very religious. He gets to this point of like where the things, and it made me realize, it made me kind of question of like, I don't even know, unless you actually hear the words from someone themselves, how do you actually determine what's true? I feel like it's a huge problem in America. You know what I mean?
It's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go back to kind of like circle back, because I do have questions about you building your team up and what you've done here. Congratulations on the whole Trump thing. That was amazing and super cool moment to watch you go through. How do you build, like, going back to building your company, how do you find good people?
That's a challenge. Our top management was recruited. I was trying to find people like probably through the wrong channels. Some of my best ones have either been, we've had several that have worked their way up through starting at kind of like general positions and finding what they excel in. But it's still a challenge to find the right talent as we're continuing to scale. I think that's an issue with a lot of companies. And it's also like, for me, let's look at it from a marketing perspective. Being in Huntsville, Alabama, I'm super constrained and I like to keep things internalized. And so finding media buyers and finding people that really, really get it in this town is super, super challenging. And so sometimes, having to bring people in from the outside, like, I've got a guy that I hired. He's been with us for 8 months now, but he's moving down here in June. And he was the marketing director of a big agency, and he's moving in from California. We're having to do those types of things that, because of our geographic location, not being in like LA or New York or Austin, or it can be a little bit challenging. But we do have some incredible staff. Do
you bring everybody in? Is everybody in-house?
We have a few third party. I don't do the Google and YouTube side. I do all the other media buying, I could probably do that. But, and I don't personally want to be the one that's only doing that. It's just that's where I'm at right now. And I've had other people run it, and it hasn't been, it's just challenging as an owner to find that exact fit. And I prefer it internally.
But for all your people that work for you that are actual legit employees of the company, are they in Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah.
Other than that one that's working remote in California. So we have about 50, 52 or so employees. And then he'll be moving down. He's the only full-time that's
not there yet, but he's coming.
Yeah, in June.
Yeah. Cool. What's next for you personally, dude? You got this big old company. I saw you getting back into fitness stuff. Looking pretty fit there right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So this year, I mean, there's several things on the bucket list. I love taking something from concept to reality, and just like your podcast name, Think Different Theory, trying to innovate new ways to go to market with things. So, one thing is the relaunch of my personal brand. I put it on the back burner on the side to build Redline. It's finally to a point where I'm far enough away from the macro where I can do some things, but it's still challenging because right now I'm doing a ton on the media buying side. And so I can get that team in place. The intent and the goal is that I can do a relaunch for my personal brand, as well as launch a mastermind. And in March, I'm going to host my first ever marketing workshop, 2-day workshop.
Nice.
And so it'll be super hands-on. I want it to be where it's only working with existing companies that are selling tangible products, and I can hopefully use them as great case studies. To, prospect, acquire companies, but be super hands-on. They bring in some of their products, and I show them how they can go to market using potentially ClickFunnels and everything on the back end of it. So that's kind of the intent from a personal side. Is I'm getting back in shape. I'm shooting a cover with Muscle and Fitness in like a month or so, and we'll go from there. So
that's super cool.
The year of the comeback.
You're the comeback. I like that. And you got your you've hinted at it at least. Call in with Colin, right?
Yeah.
Call in with Colin.
Podcast. Call in with Colin, and that's also just like you Think Different Theory. So it's doing things completely against the grain and having it where so. I'm not huge in the podcast world.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few people, and I wanted it to be where essentially anybody can get involved and get something out of it, but it's not generalized. It's topic that can go any direction. And just like me and you are having a normal conversation, and I don't know what type. You didn't send me an outline of everything that we're going to be asked. It's super just like responsive on how to respond and kind of lead questions and directions. So.
Yeah,
but it'll allow anybody, you don't have to be a subject matter expert in a certain field. And no matter if it's like similar questions, the responses are always going to be a little bit different because what you want to do is going to be different than the other person. So if I don't think from a content distribution perspective, it's not going to get old in my opinion. And so a lot of podcasts, it can get stale where it's like, okay, how much more on keto can I talk about? If you go into these super niche things, it's hard to get everything. Yeah,
for sure. One of the things that do you know Steven Larson by any chance? Okay,
I know of him.
You know who he is?
Connected. Yeah.
So
we talk from time to time, but yeah.
Steve is a good friend of mine. And I was having dinner with him and two of the other speakers at Funnel Hacking Live, and we were actually talking about like shows and creating content or whatnot, and we've got a lot of really good feedback back from Think Different Theory, from the different stuff that we've gotten. And I was asking him about it because I was like, man, I don't want to just be like the ClickFunnels podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Or I don't want to just be the Sales Funnel podcast or the sales podcast or like whatever it is. And so I was asking him about like that because like we bring on some really, really unique guests, right? And I'm like, I feel like I understand the logic behind a show that is very niche specific, that has one type of listener, so that you can go in and like customize it specifically for them so that they listen to you more than anybody else. And one of the interesting things that he told me was, he's like, Josh, what you've got to learn how to do is trade up markets. And he's like, for him right now, he's actually shutting down his current podcast and the exact same listeners. He's actually just rebranding it. I mean, it's the same show, but like he's going from sales funnel radio to the pursuit of profit. Now, he's big in the entrepreneurship space. He wants to teach entrepreneurship. His podcast is to drive revenue. But what he said is like, all right, I found my market in the ClickFunnels space, and I soaked that up. And then I realized, okay, now I'm big enough now. I've interviewed Russell. I'm a big fish in a small pond. Now what's the next pond up that I can actually trade up to? And he's actually rebranding it a little bit so that he can go and trade up into that, those next levels. I thought that was super interesting. His content changes a little bit as he goes. But for me, I was thinking, okay, I've got this podcast of I can bring anybody on, but I'm still going to pick a market that I'm going to bring people on in that market. And it can be anybody within that market. And that way I soak up that market and then start trading up as I get big. We're going after Russell right now to get him on for his Traffic Secrets book launch, stuff like that. But like we've had pretty big names on in that, realm. And so that we can trade up markets. And so are you like, is your goal with this is just something that you're going to do to kind of launch something else? Or are you trying to bring Call in with Colin up to is that going to be like a long-term kind of big style show like that you're going to have around for the next 3-5 years?
That's the intent behind it, man. Right now, there's not an intent to like monetize it or use it for business. It's more like social branding and to elevate my personal brand.
Yeah.
I've got a very diverse group that follow me. It's not just on the marketing and sales. A lot of it's more either from my fitness modeling days or I'm so in touch with my Redline customers, which is predominantly women, like 30,
interesting,
55 plus. And so, I want to be able to cater to more of a mainstream demographic.
Yeah.
But without the intent of it's only a distribution channel where I can disseminate information. It'll cross brand my companies that I'm with. Redline, but it's not going to be like paid endorsements by my
yeah.
Like, I've got a product in the background and it's subliminal and that's it. It won't be to monetize it. It's simply to continue to elevate the brand and have another outreach channel.
How important do you think personal branding is nowadays?
It's so important. That's how I got started within the marketing space to begin with, was the leverage that your personal brand can have to all of these other companies. What can offset you from the other, and before Facebook even had algorithms, I was growing my pages a ton.
Yeah.
My first 30 days, I had over 100,000 followers, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, okay, well, let me push this over to Instagram. And it was always testing new things. I would go on to other pages that weren't specific to an individual, so maybe a modeling page, and I would leverage like calendar giveaways. I would say, okay, this is a benefit to your page, and I would leverage mine and say, okay, I'll share this to mine, so your page is going to grow. You're going to post it on yours, and I'll reshare it. And so I'm leveraging the value of what my page can do for them, and also cross-channeling. Now, it's not as effective now.
No.
For share for shares. But let me tell you, 8 years ago, it was incredibly, it was 100% reach.
Yeah.
I liked their page. Everybody freaking saw the post. It was amazing.
I feel like that's how it is on TikTok right now. Are you on TikTok at all?
No, none.
Dude.
It's not my demo. I don't really want to be there.
It's not my demo either yet right now, but it's almost too good to look away from. I've posted 7 videos on there and I had 4,000 followers. One of my videos got 89,000 views or something like that. I'm like, what the heck? So it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to just kind of throw up some content on there. Like not actually optimize it for it, but just like repurpose Instagram stories or something over there, because I have friends that have just, blown up. I have friends with millions of followers on that platform. They're the biggest. It is crazy. The biggest user on the platform is like a 17-year-old girl, I think, or something like that. She got some 20 million followers. Like, it's just absolutely insane. Going back to the personal branding thing real quick. What's your biggest piece of advice for people that want to grow their personal brand? Because like I have a personal brand, and I'm still in the process of building it, right? Like I'm solidified in my space, but I'm 100,000 people maybe, right? Like it's nothing crazy or huge. Twofold question. If you're just getting started, what's your biggest piece of advice for personal branding? And then for scaling, what's your biggest piece of advice?
So if you're first getting started, I would say work with or to try to bring some type of value so that people with a larger following want to work with you. And a lot of times that could mean working for free, doing something for them. If you're a graphics artist, you want to grow your page, start making other people with like large following their graphics. And then they share it and you work out some type of, hey, tag, just, I'm going to build you all this stuff. All I need you to do on Instagram is just tag me within the photo. And it's that simple, but do it for free. Like give some type of value of why they should do it for you and don't ask for anything in return. And it'll continue to elevate as long as you keep that consistency. Same with like, being on podcast shows, as long as you have some type of value to give. And sometimes, it may take you having to pay to promote your personal brand to get started. When I was on 50 plus magazine covers, I was using the power of value attribution to monetize, but not in a way that most people would think of. So I never charged a talent fee to the publications, which that offset me from so many other fitness models. I took it a step further and said, if a fitness photographer wanted to charge a license fee, I would inadvertently pay that license fee to the photographer, and then I would put a value of, let's say, men's health, men's fitness. I'll do 4 posts. This is what the rollout looks like this is the announcement. This is me holding it. This is a last week to receive it. And we'll go through this entire process and I'll paint a picture for them and say, I usually charge $2,500 per post. That's $10,000 value. I'll give that to you for free, plus no talent fee, plus I'll pay for the license fee from the photographer. So I'm having to vest my own money and to be on that. Now, what offsets it is now being on all of those covers, I can charge a premium to work with companies like Under Armour and Nike, because that's what offset me from all of these other people. And it helped build the credibility and social proof.
Yeah.
That didn't happen overnight. It was a massive, I would reach out to hundreds of pages through social media or going online, finding their chief editor, adding them to Facebook, adding them to LinkedIn, and not asking for shit off the bat. Asking, not even all I do is send them a friend request and then start engaging a little bit. Start engaging, wish him a happy birthday, all that. Your son's amazing at baseball, whatever. Very small communication trickles. And then build it off of a conversation where after a couple of weeks, they've seen your name several times. They've seen some engagement. You don't want to look like a creeper. I'm not going to go and just ask for exactly what I want. I want to give some type of value to them, but I think it's building those relationships that's key right off the bat. And once you can get past the gatekeeper, that right gatekeeper can put you in touch with so many other people that are connected. So for instance, my first ever cover was with Ironman Australia. And so I was one of the only fitness models to ever land a cover twice in 1 year. So you got to think every 4 or 5 months, I was averaging a cover in the same country, which is nuts.
Wow.
That's not normal. There's only 12 covers in a year, 1 a month. So, but I used that same chief editor, and after several times working together, because I made it super easy, seamless for him, I would do my post just like I wanted, cross tag.
Yeah.
And I would go over and beyond what was expected. I went out and asked him, hey, Dan, we've worked together great in the past. Do you have any friends that, and so he connected me with Men's Fitness Australia, and I landed a cover with them. And so it's building those relationships and then not being afraid after you've built that relationship, and that takes time, but to use their distribution channel to get what you want as well.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the hard things that people have, and I'd be curious to know, like I have my own thought process on why this is. I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe not. I feel like a lot of people have a hard time asking for referrals, or asking like, hey, do you know anyone? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that more people don't ask?
Maybe they don't value themselves enough, or they discount themselves and they're just afraid to. I think one thing, if I ever, I mentioned I want to do a mastermind, I'll probably end up doing some like high level consulting. And the thing is I value myself enough to not discount what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
if it's my service, I know the type of value that I can contribute. If this person that is afraid to jump in and pay what I'm asking for, I don't negotiate it. This is what it is. And if you can't see that value, then I'm not for you. There's other people for you,
Yeah.
but I'm not. I know what I can bring, and I know what I've been able to accomplish. And so that in itself is enough self-confidence to say, this is what it is. And enough to say, hey, I have enough internal belief of what I'm doing to ask for a cold lead and be able to sell them because I know what I'm talking about. So if you don't have that inner confidence in whatever you're trying to sell, whether that's yourself, your brand, maybe some type of course or whatever it is, like you have to have that so much self-confidence within yourself I think that's what restricts them from being afraid to ask, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think another thing too is like some people don't deliver good results.
Yeah.
And then they know that they didn't deliver good results, and so that then they can't ask because they're afraid of the no, or you know what I mean? Like you got to deliver good results, and most people can't. Are you religious at all?
Yes. Yeah.
So, what do you identify with?
So we go to a local church called The Rock, and it is a Christian non what do they call it?
Non-denominational.
Non-denomination.
Yeah. Have you ever like dealt with the loss of a family member?
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
Grandpa.
okay. So I lost my brother, and coming up on a year now. And one of the things I've really struggled with, and I'm just curious, is like not so much what my purpose is, because like I'm religious, I believe in God, but like how God reveals himself in the form of truth, right? Mm-hmm. So like I feel like there's two types of truth. I feel like there's eternal truth, meaning, absolute, applies to all of us the same way, morality type truth, and then there's personal truth, right? How do you determine what's right and wrong? Like, do you get that strictly from the Bible? Do you get that through your relationship with God? Or like, how do you determine morality, right and wrong type stuff?
I guess just living. I mean, I think my favorite word that you'll hear several times outside of just this, is integrity. That's just doing what's right when nobody's looking. And, I wouldn't put it just strictly to the church side, but, I was raised in a great home. I've split parents. So my mom primarily raised me. And, but Southern, typical Southern hospitality, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, whatever. And then the military definitely helped instill a lot of
I bet.
values. So I think a combination of all of that.
Are you married now?
Yeah, I'm married and have 3 kids.
Oh, wow. How do you balance entrepreneurship with dad time, husband time?
I mean, that's a very challenging question. To answer it correctly, man, it doesn't happen. There is no balance. At least not currently. There's not a fair balance of saying, okay, I'm going to work 60 hours minimum here at Redline. It's not going to be an even balance of work-life balance.
Right.
Scale, it's never going to be the same. It's really a self-sacrifice to know in confidence to say, this is where Redline will be. I'm willing to sacrifice some time here on the front end so that the rest of our lives, we don't have to stress about it. And I can do more and more involvement. It's gotten to a point now where 2 years ago, I literally bought an RV, lived there for 3 months because I didn't want to drive home for 30 minutes. And so my wife and my daughter would come at night, sleep with us because I didn't want to drive 30 minutes home, 30 minutes back to work. I thought it was a waste of time. So I would literally work until it was time for bed. And I would go to the RV and within 30 minutes pass out, wake up 3 or 4 in the morning and go back to work. I got guys in this room that was here when I was doing all of that. And it's, I think it's just sacrifice, but they're, at least for my wife, my daughters, one's 9 months old, one is 3 years old.
All right.
They don't fully
understand
they're
it
not
yet.
there where they really understand it. So it's more sacrifice on my side, but also like my business is a baby too. Like, and I care so much about what's happening here that, I look at it as if your company is starting out you have to almost treat it as if it is a newborn kid.
Yeah.
And if you neglect it and you're off on the weekends, it could hurt, it's gonna see an impact. It's gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
And
I
so
like that.
it's for me, man, it's fourth quarter, 7 days a week, at minimum of 12 hours a day. No BS. That's literally what it is. Now it's I try to take Sundays off. And that's kind of what my balance is, to be fair to my wife. And if I had it my way, if I was not married and I didn't have kids, I would literally just buy a bed and live at Redline.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that. Yeah.
Sunday, we'll go to church and I'll do lunch, and then I'll try not to work, but it's hard to escape. And it's almost like an addiction, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel that. Addiction's the right word for it, dude. It's like I can't get away from it. I just want to be on all the time. I love being in front of the camera. I love creating. I love writing. I could do it all the time. And that's actually one thing that I've actually worked with my coach a lot on, is having some form of balance in my life, because I would work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week if I could. Like, it would just, I don't, all these people that are like, I need vacation, or I want to do this, or don't you want to do that? I'm like,
I love what I do.
All right, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if you don't love what you do, that's when you need a vacation. Like, okay, yeah, every now and then, but like, dang. Last topic I quickly want to cover with you before we wrap it up here. I do want to kind of talk to the more of the beginner entrepreneur right now, or the person that's out there that is trying to figure it all out. Maybe their calling is not an entrepreneur necessarily, but like they want to be successful and they want to make money. And most people, entrepreneurship of some sort is the path that's going to get them there, even if that's a side hustle. There's nothing I believe more strongly, I don't think, than in the power of the mental game. I think everything is won and lost in the mind, and whether that's money or starting a business or your relationship or whatever, like I believe it all starts here. It all comes out of the stories that you're telling themselves. What mental exercises or advice would you give to someone that like is like a perfect story about this? I was sitting in Funnel Hacking Live, and Russell's up on stage and he's, talking back and forth, and he's like, yeah, like I'm going through and I'm trying to figure out how to do ClickFunnels and, in the process of building everything. And he said, one of the things that we did beforehand is I felt the voice of God telling me to buy this domain, and it was $20,000, and I didn't have it. So, I worked real hard. I came up with it, $20,000 or whatever. And this guy behind me goes, yeah, okay, a quick 20,000. That's like impossible for the normal person. And I was like, interesting, right? Because like I used to be in that scenario. If you were telling me to come up with $20,000 in a week, you might as well have told me 20 million, right? And now I'm like, okay, $20,000. Like if I need to come up with 20 grand, I'll come up with 20 grand. So like what advice do you have for someone that's in that scenario right now that hasn't had that breakthrough, that isn't the operator of a $30 million, $40 million company, that's like just trying to figure out how to get past that hump of, I call it like mental freedom, right? There's financial freedom, but before financial freedom, I think comes mental freedom. So like, what advice do you have for them on that?
So what I've learned, over the years as an entrepreneur is to essentially, you'll get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And what was uncomfortable for me 4 years ago, when I was first starting, now I could laugh at. It's a very similar situation with what you just said. You're coming up with 20,000, you could do that just like that. And it's what scares you today should not scare you a couple years from now, as long as you have that same vision and you're carrying it out. Have that self-fortitude, self-confidence that, you put your mind to it and I want to go out and accomplish it. So I'd say there's a couple of parts to it. My biggest thing is to set small and realistic goals. And your realistic goal is going to be different than mine.
Yeah.
I say Redline's going to be, $1 billion company within the next 5 years. To a lot of people, that's not realistic
at all.
And you know what? There's outside noise. You have to cancel it out. And there's still going to be people that's talking. You can't let that self-absorb into your thought. And so that's that short-term goal. And that's more of like a long-term. I'm looking at short-term could be like 6 months to a year. Where do you want to be and why do you want to be there? And then I don't even want you to just put it in your mind. You need to like self-proclaim it to the universe that this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And don't do it for self-accountability more than anything. Don't do it just to say, oh, look what I can do in a year. Like reflect back on that. I want to see in my time story on Facebook a year from now, oh, my goal was to hit 100,000 followers and I did, or 200,000. I think carrying whatever it is that you want out, proclaiming it, and having that self-confidence that no matter gets thrown my way, I'm gonna push past those barriers. So short-term goals that you believe in wholeheartedly, and even if your wife doesn't support it, there's negativity that's thrown your way through friends and family. Why are you going to do that? That's dumb. It's never going to work. Everybody has to go past that. Like anybody that's first starting out, you're going to get questioned by a lot of people, and even people you care about, and that you want to get advice and listen from. But if it's your vision, if that's your purpose and that's what you're passionate about, follow it, pursue it. And it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be, you want to be a comedian. Then what do you need to do to make that happen? How can I volunteer? Let me sweep the floor every night for the next 3 weeks, build a relationship with the stage manager. Think different than to figure out how it is that you want to accomplish what it is that you want, reverse engineer it, and then have the self-confidence to go about it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is just action, man. Like, you have to act. You can't just keep pushing things out. Everybody's going to fail. And it's getting that uncomfortable feeling, being uncomfortable with the comfortable. So it'll continuously get easier when things get more challenging. I feel like for me, I revert more to like my spirit animal as a lion. When I'm trapped in a corner, I'll come out fighting. And when I need to come up with cash flow, I work best off of pressure. When things are great, I usually throw a wrench in it somehow. I'll do something brand new that nobody's expecting, and it'll be challenging for the business to keep up or do something, but we figure it out, man. I'm not afraid to jump in with both feet and just sink or swim.
Yeah. I like that a lot. One of the things my coach told me, and I love this because it goes right along with what you said here with the writing it down and kind of proclaiming it out there, is she said, Josh, the greatest ideas and the greatest anything that happens that are in the mind, that's also where doubt is. And by getting out of your own head, you also get out of doubt. And so when you write it down and you can actually see it, you can go, oh, that looks attainable, right? Like, oh, I can do that. And when you leave it in your mind, even if it's the exact same thing that's in your mind is out on paper, now you can see it. You see it without a lens of doubt. You see it with clarity, and you can go, oh, this is there and that's there, and I can figure out how to do that. And I have found so much clarity. I have multiple different journals. I got this one. I got another one over here. And I just started writing down just random things. I'm like, today I'm feeling like this. It's the most stupid thing ever, but now it's out there and it's like, oh, well, that's stupid. I shouldn't think that way. Or, oh, that makes sense. I can do that. So I absolutely love that. And I really appreciate you sharing that.
Sure, bro.
Colin, it's been an amazing time with you, man. I really appreciate you coming back on. I know your time is super valuable. What do you charge for an hour of consulting?
I don't do hours. So it's, I like the day. I like to get to know people. I'm very, very strict. I actually have a guy that I consulted with. He came back from Tampa 18 months ago. So he's in the room right now with me, and he's back, and I'm not charging him to be here. We established it turned from a business into a personal friendship. And
I like that.
For me, I don't want to work with people to monetize. I want to work with people to sustain their growth. And he went from less than 100,000 annual. He'll do over 10 million this year from an 18-month period.
Congratulations. What's his name?
His name's Corey Schaffer. He's with Till Valhalla Project.
Corey, congratulations. That's awesome. I don't know you, but that's phenomenal. Well, I'm just trying
to do it, man. It's a lot of fun.
I'm trying to figure out how much time or how much of your time I just stole from you. How much? None of it. Okay. All right. That's good.
Zero.
That's good.
Yeah.
Colin.
Personally, it's been a lot of fun.
I appreciate it, man. Colin, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, and I really, really appreciate you coming on. Any final words of wisdom or anything that you want to share with Think Different Theory audience?
No, I would say, Josh, you are, I want to say something to you. The way that you do things, y'all, everybody on listening, you can't see this, but this is something that's on my desk. This is something that Josh did. He sent me a leather journal. It was really nice. And I've been on a lot of podcasts. He's the only guy that has personally sent me something. Now it's sitting on an executive desk. I got multimillionaires coming in, bankers, executives from all different types of companies. And his name is on the bottom right-hand corner. So the branding side, thinking different on your approach and giving back from a value perspective. And like, so I would say, man, to all your listeners, do something that's against the grain. Do something that can elevate whatever you want in your goals and offset you from everybody else. Because just like a normal podcast, essentially we end the podcast and the conversations end, and all I hear from is, hey, here's the thumbnail, here's the link, post it on your socials. And I don't even feel like doing it. But doing things like this, you sent me a Christmas card. Those little bitty things, those touch points are massive when it comes to building a personal relationship, especially with the right people, and keeping that relationship built. You don't know where that's going to go. Imagine Redline is $1 billion company. And, now because of these small little touch points like this, it's something that I'll remember. I'm at a conference, I'm a billionaire now. Josh walks up to me and gets past myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's these small little touch points that carry a lot of weight and bring so much more lifetime value to your show. I'm willing to do more things, like share it into my personal channels, my groups, that I normally wouldn't do on other shows because of that relationship that was built from the very beginning working with you. So hopefully that's a good takeaway.
I appreciate that.
Everybody listening is that do things against the grain. If you see that that's the way that everybody else has done it, find a way to make it better. Don't just fit in, think different.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. I'm glad you liked it. We send them out to everybody. So thank you. Guys, this has been the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Colin Wayne, who has done just an incredible job. Congratulations on all your success again, man. It's been cool to get to know you. As always, hustle. God bless. Do not be afraid to think different, because those of us that think different are going to be the ones that change the world. I love you all, and I will see you on the next episode. Tomorrow we have Joel Kaplan, who runs about a $200,000 a month agency. I think he's like 26 or 27. Just absolutely crushing it for all my agency entrepreneurs out there. You're not going to want to miss that one. God bless you all, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Peace.